conference room fell silent as the holographic message played for the third time. Ambassador Wu Park stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the alien faces flicker in blue light. The Galactic Council had made their demands clear. Humanity would pay tribute, or humanity would pay in blood. Admiral Yang leaned back in his chair, his weathered face showing no emotion. He had fought in the colony wars and survived the Mars Rebellion. He knew what impossible odds looked like. This was worse. 40% of Earth's total production, Chancellor Wu Li said quietly. They want 40% of everything we make, mine, or grow. Plus military conscripts, Wu added. He had just returned from the council station and the memory still made his stomach turn. They want our young people to serve in their armies, 5 years minimum service, no choice in the matter. Round the table, the leaders of Earth's government shifted uncomfortably. General Sora, Admiral Yang's daughter, shook her head in disbelief. Director Han of Colonial Affairs stared at the table. Even Ambassador Wu, usually so composed, looked shaken. And the resource systems? Chancellor Wu asked. Lost, Wu replied. The mineral-rich systems we discovered in the outer territories. They claim them under what they call Council Protection Doctrine. We keep none of them. Yang finally spoke, his voice like gravel. How many species have accepted these terms? All of them, Wu said. 47 species in the Galactic Council. Every single one paid tribute when they were discovered. The council representative told me it's been this way for over 3,000 years. 3,000 years of robbery, General Sora muttered. Chancellor Wu stood and walked to the window. Below, Earth's capital city stretched toward the horizon, millions of lights against the evening sky. His people, his responsibility. They gave us 30 days to decide, he said. 23 days remain. What happens if we refuse? Wu pulled up another hologram. Images of destroyed cities appeared, burning stations, shattered fleets. This is what happened to the species. They hesitated for 2 months. The council calls it pacification. They call it genocide. 3 billion dead in the first week. The room fell silent again. They have 6,000 warships, General Sora said, pulling up military data. Our intelligence suggests they can mobilize twice that number if needed. Earth has 300 ships. Even with our colonies, we barely reach 500 combat vessels. Our ships are more advanced, Yang said. Not that advanced, Sora replied. Her father's optimism had always been his weakness. We've been in space for less than 50 years. Some council species have been spacefaring for. Chancellor Wu turned back to face them. Admiral, give me an honest assessment. Can we fight them? Yang stood. He had commanded fleets for 30 years. He had never lied to a superior officer, and he would not start now. In a direct engagement, we lose. Badly. Their numbers, experience, and established supply lines give them overwhelming advantage. So we have no choice, Director said quietly. I didn't say that, Yang replied. A slight smile crossed his face. I said we can't win a direct engagement, but there are other ways to fight. Chancellor Wu studied the old admiral. Explain. We've been developing new drive technology, quantum displacement. It makes our ships extremely hard to track and target. Our scientists also found weaknesses in Council shield designs, and we have something they don't. What's that? Wu asked. Desperation, Yang said simply. And humans fight differently when we're desperate. Every species that joined the Council did so to survive. They bent the knee to save themselves. I understand that, but maybe that's why the Council has ruled for so long. Nobody ever told them no. General Sora looked at her father with new understanding. You want to fight them? I want to give them a reason to leave us alone, Yang corrected. Make the cost too high. Make them reconsider whether tribute from Earth is worth the blood it will cost them. Chancellor Wu walked back to the table and sat down heavily. He was 53 years old. He had hoped to be remembered for the colonization of new worlds, for bringing prosperity to Earth. Now he would either be remembered as the man who surrendered humanity's freedom, or the man who led them into a war they could not win. I need to address the assembly tomorrow, he said. I need to know what we're going to tell the council. Tell them humanity does not pay tribute, Yang said. That will mean war. Yes, sir, it will. Chancellor Wu looked around the table. General Soran nodded slowly. Director looked afraid but determined. Ambassador Wu took a deep breath and straightened his shoulders. If we do this, Wu said, we need to do it right. I can deliver the message to the council personally. Make sure they understand this is our final answer. They'll make an example of us, Director warned. Every species in the galaxy will watch what happens to Earth. Good, Yang said. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when humans are pushed too far. Chancellor Wu stood again. He felt the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders, but he also felt something else. Pride. His species had crawled out of caves and reached for the stars. They had survived wars, plagues, and disasters. They had never been slaves, and they would not start now. "Admiral, begin mobilizing the fleet," he ordered. "General, prepare our defense systems. Ambassador Park, draft a response to the Council. Make it clear and make it strong. Director Han, start evacuating non-essential personnel from our outer stations." He paused and looked at each of them in turn. 23 days from now, the galaxy will learn something about humanity. We have never bowed to tyrants on Earth. We will not bow to tyrants among the stars. If the Council wants tribute from humanity, they will have to take it by force. And we will make them pay for every ship, every station, every inch of space in human blood. The others stood, saluted, and left to carry out their orders. Alone in the room, Chancellor Wu looked out at Earth one more time. Beautiful, fragile, and free. Whatever happened next, his people would face it standing tall. The Council had made their demands. Now they would receive humanity's answer. The assembly hall was packed. Every representative from every nation and colony had come to hear Chancellor Wu Li's address. Outside, millions watched on screens across Earth and its settlements. The moment felt heavy with history. Wu walked to the podium. He had not slept in 2 days. The speech had been written, rewritten, and written again. But in the end, the message was simple. "My fellow humans," he began. 23 days ago, the Galactic Council made demands of our species. They want 40% of everything we produce. They want our children to serve in their armies. They want our newly discovered systems. They call this tribute. They call it the price of peace. He paused, letting the words sink in. "I stand before you today to announce our decision. Humanity's answer to the Galactic Council is this: no, we will not pay tribute. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not bow." The assembly erupted. Some cheered, others gasped. Representatives shouted questions. Wu raised his hand for silence. "I know what this means," he continued. "I know this will bring war to our doorstep, but I also know what surrender means. It means our children will grow up as servants to alien empires. It means everything we build will be taken from us. It means humanity will never again control its own destiny." On the Council station, 300 light-years from Earth, Ambassador Wu Park prepared to deliver the message in person. He wore Earth's formal diplomatic uniform and carried a data chip containing humanity's official response. The Council chamber was enormous. 47 species sat in circular tiers, looking down at the central platform where Wu stood. The Empire representative, a towering creature with 4 arms and crystalline skin, spoke first. "Ambassador Park, has your species reached a decision?" Wu activated the holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, rotating slowly. Then images of human children, human cities, human achievements. "The humans of Earth have considered your demands carefully," Wu said, his voice steady. "We thank the Council for the opportunity to join galactic civilization. However, we must decline your terms." The chamber filled with clicking, buzzing, and strange sounds as species translated the message. The consortium representative, a floating blob of intelligent gas, pulsed with red light. "You decline. You understand what this means." "We understand perfectly," Wu replied. "Humanity has faced extinction many times. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and our own worst instincts. We will face this threat as we have faced all others, standing upright and free." They leaned forward. "Your species has 500 ships. We have thousands. Your colonies are exposed. Your home world is vulnerable. Reconsider this foolishness." "I have reconsidered," Wu said calmly. "My answer remains the same. Humanity bows to no one." He turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind him, chaos erupted as council members shouted and argued. On Earth, in a secure military facility, Dr. Haywon presented her findings to Admiral Yang and General Sora. The scientist looked exhausted but excited. "The quantum displacement drive is ready," she said, pulling up technical diagrams. "We can jump a ship in and out of normal space with almost no warning. The Council's sensors won't track us." "How many ships have this technology?" Yang asked. 150 so far, Haywon replied. "We're installing it on more every day. By the time the Council arrives, most of our fleet will have it." "And the weapon systems?" Sora asked. Haywon smiled. "We found something interesting about Council shields. They're designed to stop massive impacts, asteroid strikes, large missiles, but they're not efficient against smaller, rapid-fire attacks. Our new plasma repeaters can punch through their shields if we concentrate fire." "Good," Yang said. "What else?" "This." Haywon pulled up another display. "Council communication networks use predictable encryption. We've been monitoring their channels for months. I'm confident we can jam or intercept their battle commands." "Far from Earth," In the frontier territories, Captain Dongmin Song and his team moved through the shadows of an alien station. They wore light-bending suits that made them nearly invisible. Their mission was simple: make contact with species tired of council rule. The species had been paying tribute for 400 years. Their representative, a scaled being named, met Dongmin in a dark cargo bay. "You risk much coming here," said quietly. "If the council discovers this meeting, they will punish my entire world." "We risk everything," Dongmin replied. "That's why we're here, to find others willing to risk something too." "What do you want from us?" "Intelligence, safe harbors for our ships, maybe nothing. Maybe your people prefer the council's rule." Made a sound like grinding stones. Laughter, Dongmin realized, bitter laughter. "Prefer, we pay 40% of everything we make. Our best minds are drafted to serve council interests. We have no voice, no power, no choice. Of course we don't prefer it, but we also prefer to survive." "What if survival and freedom weren't opposites?" Dongmin asked. "What if you could have both?" "Impossible, the council is too strong." "The council has never faced humans before," Dongmin said. "We're about to show them something new." Back on Earth, in the Intelligence Division headquarters, Director Bora Shin studied reports from deep-cover agents across Council space. What she found was fascinating. "The Council is weaker than they look," she told Chancellor Wu in a private briefing. 12 species are behind on their tribute payments. 7 have active resistance movements. The Empire is dealing with internal conflicts. The Consortium is more interested in profit than warfare. "Can we exploit this?" Wu asked. "Absolutely," Bora replied. "The Council stays in power through fear and careful theater. They make examples of anyone who resists. But if someone actually hurt them, if someone made them look weak, the whole structure might fracture." "We need to do more than just survive," Wu realized. "We need to win in a way that makes others question the Council's power." "Exactly," Bora said. "And I have intelligence suggesting 5 species will secretly provide us with information. Not alliance. Not yet. But they want to see what happens when someone finally fights back." Admiral Yang stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense station, looking at tactical displays. Sensor networks showed council ships gathering at rally points. They would come soon. Maybe days, maybe weeks. His daughter Sora joined him, carrying a data pad. "Final count," she said. "We have 497 combat-ready ships, another 200 support vessels, 300,000 trained combat personnel, against a council that can field 6,000 warships and has been fighting wars since before humans invented writing." "When you say it like that, it sounds bad," Yang said. Sora laughed despite the tension. "Father, it is bad." "Maybe," he admitted, "but they're about to learn why humans are dangerous. We don't fight fair. We don't fight with honor. We fight to win, and we use every dirty trick we can think of." "Is that enough?" Yang looked at the tactical display, then at his daughter. "It has to be, because the alternative is slavery, and that's not an option." Across the galaxy, word spread. Humanity had refused the council. War was coming. Most species watched with pity, certain that the humans would be crushed. But a few, a very few, watched with hope. Maybe, just maybe, someone had finally found the courage to say no. The council fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 500 warships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their hulls gleamed with ceremonial markings. This was meant to be a show of force, not a battle. The council expected surrender. Admiral Yang watched the enemy fleet appear on his tactical display. Each red dot represented a ship that could destroy a city. Together, they could turn Earth into dust. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Commander Jinho Park reported from the flagship Indomitable, "demanding our immediate surrender." "Let them demand," Yang replied calmly. "General, what's the status of our forces?" General Sora checked her displays. "All ships are in position. Ghost Squadron is standing by. Quantum displacement drives are ready. We can begin protocol chaos on your command." "Do they see us?" Yang asked. "No, sir," Jinho confirmed. "We're running dark. As far as their sensors show, the system is empty except for civilian stations." The Council Fleet Commander, unnamed, sat in his command throne and studied the seemingly empty space. He had done this 43 times before. A show of overwhelming force, a few threats, and the new species would surrender. It was almost boring. "Broadcast again," ordered. "Tell them they have 1 hour to respond, or we begin bombarding their outer stations." The message went out. On Earth, Chancellor Wu stood in the Defense Command Center listening. He looked at Admiral Yang. "Admiral." 1 hour is generous of them," Yang said. "Let's not waste it. Begin protocol chaos." Across human space, ships activated their quantum displacement drives. One moment they were hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons. The next moment they appeared in the middle of the Council fleet. The Admiral's display lit up with red warnings. Enemy ships, hundreds of them, had somehow appeared inside his formation. "Impossible," roared. "Where did they come from?" Before anyone could answer, the human ships opened fire. Plasma repeaters, exactly as Dr. Haywan had designed, hammered against Council shields. The shields held for a few seconds, then failed under the concentrated rapid-fire assault. 3 Council ships exploded in the first 30 seconds. "All ships return fire," commanded. "Target those vessels." The Council fleet tried to respond, but the human ships were already gone. They had displaced again, jumping to new positions. The Council's massive weapons fired at empty space. Lieutenant Nahan led Ghost Squadron through the chaos. Her fighter was small, fast, and equipped with the best displacement technology Earth could build. She could jump in, fire, and jump out before the enemy even knew she was there. "Ghost 3, on my wing," she called. "We're going for that cluster of support ships on the left flank." Her squadron followed her into displacement. They emerged behind the enemy formation, fired their missiles, and displaced again. 4 Council support ships went dark, their systems fried by electromagnetic pulse weapons. "They can't track us," one of her pilots shouted with excitement. "Don't get cocky," No warned. "They have 500 ships, we have to be perfect." Commander Jinho coordinated the attack from the Indomitable. His board showed the entire battlefield. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking wherever the Council fleet was weakest. "Focus fire on their command vessel," Admiral Yang ordered. "We need to disrupt their coordination." "Yes, sir," Jinho replied. He directed 20 ships to concentrate on Admiral's flagship. "All units target the dreadnought, hit them with everything." The human ships displaced into position and unleashed a withering barrage. Shields flickered and failed. Holes appeared in his hull. His command center filled with smoke and the screams of dying crew. "Retreat," ordered, his pride wounded more than his ship. "All vessels withdraw to Rally Point Delta." But retreating from an enemy that could appear anywhere was harder than it sounded. As Council ships turned to flee, human vessels appeared in their path, cutting off escape routes. More ships exploded. More ships went dark. The battle lasted 14 hours. For the Council forces, it felt like an eternity. They could not land a solid hit on an enemy that refused to stay in one place. They could not coordinate when human jamming disrupted their communications. They could not maintain formation when attacks came from every direction. Admiral watched his fleet fall apart. He had lost 300 ships, 300, in a single engagement against a species that supposedly had no military experience. "All remaining ships emergency displacement," he commanded. "Get us out of here." The Council fleet, or what remained of it, jumped to faster-than-light speed and fled. Behind them they left debris, damaged ships, and the corpses of thousands. On the Indomitable, cheers erupted across the bridge. Crew members hugged each other. Some cried with relief. "Silence," Admiral Yang said, though his voice was kind. "Count our losses." The cheering stopped. Commander Jinho checked his reports. 17 ships destroyed," he said quietly. 23 damaged, approximately 2,000 casualties. The bridge fell silent. 2,000 humans dead. It was horrible, it was painful, but against an enemy fleet of 500 they had won. "And the enemy?" Yang asked. 300 ships destroyed or disabled," Jinho replied. "The rest retreated. Admiral, we won. They ran from us." Yang nodded slowly. "We won this battle, but the war has just begun. The Council will not accept this loss. They will come back with everything they have." General Sora approached her father. "What do we do now?" "Now," Yang looked at the tactical display at the debris field where the battle had been fought. "Now we prepare for their next move, and we make sure the galaxy knows what happened here. The Council is not invincible. They can be hurt. They can be beaten." "But can they be stopped?" Sora asked. "That," Yang replied, "is what we're going to find out." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread faster than light. The Council's enforcement fleet, sent to intimidate humanity, had been destroyed. Species that had paid tribute for centuries watched the recordings in disbelief. The Council had lost. The mighty, ancient, invincible Council had been defeated by newcomers. In Council chambers, panic replaced confidence. The Empire demanded immediate military escalation. The Consortium suggested negotiation. Smaller species began to whisper among themselves. If the humans could fight back, what did that mean for everyone else? On Earth, Chancellor Wu addressed his people again. "Today, humanity faced its first test," he said. "We paid a terrible price. 2,000 of our brothers and sisters will not come home, but we proved something important. We proved that tyranny can be resisted. We proved that courage matters more than numbers. We proved that humanity will never accept chains." He paused, knowing his next words would shape everything that followed. "The Council will come again. They will bring more ships, more weapons, more fury, but we will be ready. And we will show them again and again and again that humanity does not surrender." In the darkness of space, human ships regrouped and prepared. The first battle was won, but Admiral Yang knew the hardest fighting was still ahead. The Council had made their move. Humanity had answered. Now the real war would begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. The chamber that had once echoed with absolute authority now rang with arguments and accusations. "The humans must be destroyed," the representative thundered. "Every ship we have, every weapon, every resource, we crush them completely. And throw good money after bad," the consortium representative pulsed with orange light. "We lost 300 ships, 300. Do you know the economic cost?" Ambassador Wu watched the council tear itself apart from his small observation booth. It was everything he had hoped for: fear, division, doubt. On the frontier world of Captain Dongmin's Song met with 7 representatives of different species. They gathered in secret, in an abandoned mining facility where no council surveillance could reach. "Humanity offers you a choice," Dongmin said. "Continue paying tribute to the council or stand with us." A name spoke first. "Stand with you. You defeated one fleet. The council has dozens more." "True," Dongmin admitted. "But that one fleet was supposed to be invincible. It wasn't. And every day the council delays, more species see that weakness." A small being named clicked its mandibles nervously. "What exactly are you offering?" "Freedom from tribute," Dongmin replied. "Fair trade agreements, access to our quantum displacement technology, a voice in your own future." "In exchange for what?" asked suspiciously. "Information, safe harbor for our ships, medical supplies, nothing you cannot afford to give. And if you choose to fight alongside us, we welcome that too, but we demand nothing." The 7 representatives looked at each other. The concept was alien to them. A powerful species that demanded nothing. It seemed impossible. "We need time to discuss this with our governments," said. "Take all the time you need," Dongmin replied. "But know this, the council will mobilize soon. When they do, they will demand absolute loyalty. Species that hesitate will be punished. Choose quickly, but choose wisely." On Earth, Dr. Haywon worked day and night in her laboratory. She had not slept properly in weeks. Her team was exhausted, but they were close to something extraordinary. "Show me the results again," she told her assistant. The holographic display showed a simulation. A wave of energy spreading through space, touching ships, shutting down their systems without destroying them. "The cascade pulse," her assistant explained. "It overloads shield generators and power systems simultaneously. Ships go dead in space, but the crews survive." "Can we aim it?" Haywon asked. "With precision. We can target specific areas, specific fleets, even specific ships if needed." Haywon smiled for the first time in days. "How many can we build?" "With current resources, maybe 10, but each one can affect hundreds of ships." "Build 20, Haywon ordered. "I don't care what it costs. This weapon could end the war without genocide." In the intelligence division, Director Bora Shin compiled her latest reports. What she found was remarkable. The council was fracturing faster than anyone had predicted. 12 species have refused to send ships," she told Chancellor Wu. "They cite internal security concerns, but the message is clear. They won't fight for the council anymore." "Will they fight for us?" Wu asked. "Maybe. 3 species have secretly agreed to provide us with intelligence. 5 more are negotiating with Captain Song's teams. The Empire is dealing with uprisings on 4 colonies. And look at this." She displayed intercepted communications. Council leadership arguing about resource distribution. Evidence of embezzlement. Proof that tribute payments had been going into private accounts for decades. "They've been stealing from their own members," Wu said with disgust. "For generations," Bora confirmed. "I'm leaking this information to key media outlets across council space. By tomorrow, every species will know the truth." The next day, riots erupted on 17 council worlds. Citizens who had paid tribute for centuries learned their suffering had enriched corrupt officials. Governments fell. Protests filled the streets. The Empire, facing the worst unrest, made a stunning announcement. They would not participate in further military action against humanity. The decision shocked everyone. With the gone, the consortium saw an opportunity. Their representative contacted Ambassador Wu through secret channels. "We wish to negotiate," the message said simply. Wu brought the message to Chancellor Wu. "What do they want?" Wu asked. To keep their profits, Wu replied. They care nothing for politics or pride. They see the council collapsing and want to preserve their economic interests. And what do we want? The complete end of the tribute accords, Wu said firmly. Nothing less. Wu nodded. Then that's what you'll demand, but be prepared for them to refuse. The council may be weakening, but they're not broken yet. Far from council space, Commander Sung-ho piloted the stealth ship through enemy supply lines. His mission was simple but dangerous: sabotage. Target the supply depot, he ordered his crew. Engines only, we're not here to kill anyone. They appeared next to the depot, fired precisely targeted shots that disabled the station's propulsion, then disappeared before alarms could sound. The depot drifted helplessly, unable to move supplies to council forces. Over 2 weeks, team disabled 14 supply depots, 6 communication relays, and 3 repair facilities. Each attack was surgical. But each attack made the council weaker. Why don't we just destroy them? One of his crew asked. Because we want to win the peace, not just the war, replied. If we slaughter them, they'll fight to the death. If we hurt them and spare them, they'll remember that mercy. 3 months after the Battle of Seoul, the situation in council space had deteriorated completely. The Empire was fighting civil war. 12 species had stopped paying tribute. 5 had signed trade agreements with humanity. The consortium was paralyzed by internal debate. And then came the Battle of the Outer Reaches. 3 forces met in the frontier territories. Remnants of the council fleet still loyal to the old order, human forces, and ships from newly rebellious species. The result was chaos. Admiral Yang commanded the human fleet from a distance, coordinating with unlikely allies. Species that had been enemies weeks ago now fought alongside humanity against their former masters. The council forces are breaking, Commander Jinho reported. Their command structure is falling apart. Don't pursue too aggressively, Yang warned. We need some of them to survive and tell the story. The battle ended with the council forces in full retreat, but more important than the military victory was what came after. Representatives from 20 species, including former council members, gathered to discuss a new order. Diplomat Jin represented humanity at the talks. She was young, idealistic, and fierce in her beliefs. The age of tribute is over, she declared. No species should rule over another. No species should take what it has not earned. We propose a new system: free trade, mutual defense, and respect for all peoples. A former council species representative stood. And if we disagree, if we want the old ways, then you are free to be alone, Jin replied. We will not force you to join us, but neither will we allow you to force others to join you. Chancellor Wu watched the negotiations from Earth. The war was not over, but it was changing. The council's main fleet was still out there, thousands of ships preparing for one final assault. But the council's support was crumbling. Can we win this? He asked General Sora, who stood beside him. Win? Sora considered the question. I don't know, but we've already changed everything. Whether we survive or not, the galaxy will never accept the council's rule the same way again. That's not enough, Wu said. We need to survive, we need to build something better. Then we'd better prepare, Sora replied, looking at tactical displays. Because the council's main fleet is moving, and this time they're bringing everything they have left. Admiral Yang received the same intelligence. 6,000 ships, the council's entire remaining military force, gathered for one desperate assault on Earth itself. So it comes down to this, he said quietly. One final battle, everything we have against everything they have. Can we win? Commander Jinho asked. Yang thought about the quantum drives, the cascade pulse, the alliances they had built, and the courage of his people. We're about to find out. Nexus Station hung in space like a jewel, the administrative heart of the Galactic Council. For 3,000 years, tribute had flowed through its corridors. For 3,000 years, it had been the symbol of unbreakable power. Today, it would become a battlefield. Admiral Yang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at the tactical display. 6,000 council ships surrounded Nexus Station, their formation perfect, their weapons hot. Against them stood humanity's 400 ships and another 300 vessels from allied species. The numbers were terrible. They outnumber us 8-1, Commander Jinho said quietly. 9-1, Yang corrected, but we have advantages they don't. General Sora's voice crackled over the communications link. All allied forces report ready. Doctor confirms the Cascade Pulse devices are armed and positioned. And Ghost Squadron? Yang asked. Ready to launch, Lieutenant Nahan's voice responded. Her fighter squadron had been reinforced to 200 ships, small, fast, and deadly. On the Council flagship, Admiral prepared for redemption. He had been humiliated at the Battle of Seoul. Now, with overwhelming force, he would erase that shame by destroying Earth's fleet completely. All ships attack formation, he commanded. We crush them here, then we burn Earth to ashes. The Council fleet began to move forward, a wall of metal and firepower that seemed unstoppable. Wait for it, Yang said calmly. Let them come close. The distance closed, 5,000 kilometers, 4,000, 3,000. Now, Yang ordered, activate Cascade Pulse. 20 devices positioned around the battlefield by stealth ships over the past week activated simultaneously. Waves of energy swept through space, invisible but devastating. Council ships suddenly went dark. Shields failed. Weapons powered down. Life support flickered. What's happening? Roared as his own flagship lost power. Electromagnetic pulse, his science officer reported. Multiple sources. We're dead in the water. Nearly 4,000 Council ships drifted helplessly, but 2,000 more had been outside the pulse range. They accelerated toward the human fleet, fury replacing tactics. All ships engage, Yang commanded. Ghost Squadron, you're clear for your run. Nahan felt her heart pound as her squadron launched. 200 fighters against 2,000 warships. It should have been suicide. But her fighters had quantum displacement drives, and she had a plan. All craft follow the pattern, she transmitted. In and out, never stay in one place. Her squadron scattered, each fighter jumping in random patterns. They appeared behind enemy ships, fired, and vanished before return fire could reach them. The Council fleet tried to respond, but fighting an enemy that could teleport was like fighting ghosts. Commander Sung-ho brought the in close to Nexus Station itself. His mission was different from the others. He was here to capture, not destroy. Boarding teams ready, he ordered. We're taking the Council chambers. The stealth ship docked with the station undetected, and 30 soldiers poured into the corridors. They met minimal resistance. Most of the station's defenders were dealing with the chaos outside. The Council leadership huddled in their chambers, watching their fleet die on displays. The door exploded inward. Human soldiers rushed in, weapons ready but not firing. You're under arrest, Commander announced. For crimes against sentient species, come peacefully or don't. Either way, you're coming with us. The Council leaders looked at each other in shock. Some of them had ruled for centuries. The idea of being arrested by primitives was incomprehensible. Outside, the battle reached its peak. Admiral Yang coordinated his forces with cold precision. Human ships used their quantum drives to devastating effect. Allied vessels fought with desperate courage. The Council fleet, divided and confused, began to break apart. Their formation is collapsing, Jinho reported. They're trying to retreat. Don't let them, Yang ordered. Disable them if you can, destroy them if you must, but end this now. Nahan's squadron had suffered losses, but they had achieved their objective. Half of the Council's active ships were damaged or destroyed. The rest were retreating in disorder. Ghost Squadron, pursue and disable, she commanded. Target engines only. We want prisoners, not corpses. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Council fleet was shattered. 3,000 ships floated dead in space, their crews alive but helpless. 2,000 more had been destroyed. The remaining 1,000 had fled to random points across the galaxy. Nexus Station belonged to humanity and its allies. Chancellor Wu arrived 3 days later, along with Ambassador Wu and representatives from 30 species. They walked through the Council chambers, seeing the symbols of ancient power now broken and empty. What do we do with this place? Wu asked. We transform it, Wu replied, from a temple of tyranny into a house of equals. The trials began immediately. Council leaders faced representatives from every species they had exploited. The evidence of corruption, theft, and murder was overwhelming. Some leaders begged for mercy. Others remained defiant until the end. Admiral, his pride finally broken, confessed everything. We believed we were maintaining order, he said. We believed the tribute system was necessary, but somewhere along the way it became about power, about control, about keeping what we had taken. And now, the judge asked. Now I see what we truly were, replied. Thieves with medals, slavers with crowns. We did not bring order, we brought chains. While the trials continued, the real work began. Diplomat Jin led the negotiations for a new galactic agreement. The Harmony Accords, they called it. Simple principles: no tribute, free trade, mutual defense, respect for all species. Some will reject this, a representative warned. Some species prefer domination to cooperation. Then they can be alone, Jin replied, but they cannot force others to join them. 30 species signed the Harmony Accords in the first month. 50 more signed within a year. The old council dissolved completely. Some species chose isolation. Most chose freedom. Dr. Haywan shared the quantum displacement technology with allied species, adding one condition: it could never be used for conquest. Captain Dongmin's song helped establish a peacekeeping force, drawing soldiers from 30 different worlds. The goal was simple: protect the weak, prevent aggression, maintain the peace. 10 years later, Admiral Yang retired. He was 63 years old, tired but satisfied. He stood in his garden on Earth, looking at the stars, remembering. General Sora, now Admiral herself, visited him. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Strange," Yang admitted. "We won a war to prevent slavery. Now the galaxy is free. I never thought I'd see it." "Do you think it will last?" Yang considered the question. "Maybe, maybe not. Freedom requires constant vigilance, but at least now people have a choice." Chancellor Wu, now retired as well, addressed a gathering of young leaders from across the galaxy. Students, politicians, officers, all of them born into a free galaxy. "You are lucky," he told them. "You will never know the taste of chains. You will never bow to tyrants. But you must remember that freedom is not free. It requires courage. It requires sacrifice. It requires people willing to stand up and say no to injustice." He paused, looking at their young faces. "Your generation did not fight the council, but you will face your own challenges. Remember what humanity and its allies proved: that the strong do not have the right to rule the weak, that freedom is worth any price, that no species, no matter how powerful, has the right to demand submission from another." Across the galaxy, the changes were visible. Former tribute worlds rebuilt their economies. Species that had been silent for centuries found their voices. Trade flourished. Art, science, and philosophy bloomed in ways they never had under council rule. There were problems, of course. Old hatreds died slowly. Some species struggled with freedom after generations of control. Pirates and criminals filled the power vacuum in some regions. But these were the problems of a living galaxy, not a controlled one. Ambassador Wu, now serving as the Harmony Accord's first secretary, often thought about the day he had walked into the council chambers and said no. That single word had changed everything. Lieutenant Nahan, now a commander, trained the next generation of pilots. She taught them tactics, strategy, and courage. But most importantly, she taught them why they fought. "Never forget," she told her students. "We don't fight because we're stronger. We fight because freedom matters. We fight because someone has to stand up to bullies. We fight so others don't have to." The galaxy was not perfect. It never would be. But it was free, and that made all the difference. Far from Earth, on a small world that had paid tribute for 400 years, a grandmother told her a story. A story about how humans had come from nowhere and challenged the council. About how they had fought against impossible odds. About how they had changed the galaxy forever. "Are humans really that brave?" one child asked. The grandmother smiled. "Humans are just like us. They feel fear. They can be hurt. They can die. But when they were pushed, when they were threatened with chains, they chose to fight instead of surrender. That's not bravery. That's something deeper. That's the refusal to accept injustice." "Will anyone ever try to rule the galaxy again?" another child asked. "Maybe," the grandmother admitted. "Power-hungry beings will always exist. But now the galaxy knows something it didn't know before. It knows that tyrants can be resisted. It knows that freedom is possible. And it knows that when someone finally stands up and says no, others will follow." She looked up at the stars, at the vast and beautiful galaxy stretching forever. The council thought they were eternal. They thought they were invincible. But they forgot the most important truth: freedom lives in the heart. You can conquer worlds, you can build empires, you can command fleets, but you cannot conquer the simple human word no. And once that word is spoken, once that defiance is shown, everything changes. The children listened, wide-eyed and inspired. And somewhere among the infinite stars, humanity continued its journey. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as free beings who had shown the galaxy that chains, no matter how ancient, could be broken by those brave enough to try.